Hi, welcome to Neal Appeal Food for Real. How y'all feel? Come on, keep it real. Did you eat something healthy today? I done already told y'all that I'm going to ask you that every time because I just want you to keep it in the forefront of your mind that eating junk and processed foods causes your health to decline. Oh, but together we can make America great again. One plate at a time. Speaking of plates, I know y'all hungry, so come on, let's get cooking. Today we're doing West African cuisine. We're making peanut stew, also known as ground nut stew. And alongside it, we're going to do some fresh organic collard greens. Let me give you some history on the peanut stew, and then we'll dive right in. First, I read that the peanut is not really a nut at all. It's actually a part of the legume family. Peanuts grow in the earth at the roots of their leafy plants, unlike tree nuts like almonds and cashews. That's why they're called ground nuts. Peanuts are a main cash crop in West Africa, and actually Senegal played a major role in the global peanut industry. So it's not a surprise that this peanut stew is a staple food of West Africa. Now the proper name of the peanut stew varies depending on the region. Some call it mafe, moth, tiga de jena, and the people of Gambia call it domada. Now I'm probably not pronouncing these names right, but I don't think that knowing how to say it has anything to do with how it's going to taste. Speaking of taste, let me tell you what it's made of. West African peanut stew recipes differ slightly based on the region, just like the name does, but it's mainly a thick, rich, flavorful peanut and tomato-based stew made up of some form of meat, poultry, or fish, vegetables, and spices. Now I know what you're thinking. Peanuts and tomatoes? I couldn't imagine that combination of flavors either. But how many times have I told y'all, broaden your horizons. Don't knock it before you try it. And honeys and babies, I tried it. And it's good. Now it's usually served with rice, fonio, and fufu. Do y'all know what that is? It's okay, because we'll be using quinoa with ours today. And also we'll be using walnut butter in place of peanut butter because peanuts are inflammatory. And you know this is vegan cooking, so we won't be using chicken. Are y'all ready for it? Before we get started, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, especially if this is your first time here. But for the rest of you, you know how we do. But first, let me start off by telling you. As I was preparing this dish, I couldn't help but think back to one of my favorite movies, Color Purple. Y'all remember Mr. Suge Avery called him Albert, but you better not call him that. Mr. was mean. So mean that Nettie ran away. Far, far away. All the way to Africa. Wound up doing missionary work there. Left everything she loved. But one of the most touching scenes in that movie was when she brought Miss Seeley's children back to her. Miss Seeley had missed out on so much. I'm still mad at Mr. about that movie. So today, we're going to make this dish in honor of Miss Seeley. Since mafe means sauce, let's go mafe, mister, for Miss Seeley. Mama Boni. Boni Samonini, Mama. It was so touching. African dance keeps you fit. African dance keeps you healthy. African dance gives you energy. Positive energy. So positive that I'm not even mad with Lister no more. Come on, West African peanut stew. Come on, West African peanut stew. Come on, West African peanut stew. So we have our fresh collard greens, ginger, red onion, red chili pepper, cilantro, sweet potato, shallot, tomato paste, butter beans, vegetable broth, quinoa, chopped walnuts, agave, grape seed oil, raw walnut butter, sea salt, cumin, and crushed red pepper. So I literally wash my greens. Yes, wash my greens in soapy water to get rid of dirt and debris that comes from growing in a garden. These are organic greens, which means no pesticides were used. So after I've washed and rinsed the greens with the tap water, I then put the stopper in and fill the sink with spring water so that I can give a final soak and rinse. And we let those soak a few minutes before we cut them. So my collard greens have been washed, rinsed, and soaked, and now it's time to remove the stem and any parts that you don't want. This one is perfect. So I just line mine up like this. Then I give it a tight roll. And then I cut. And I continue this until I'm done with the whole bunch, and then we place them in the pot. So before we add the collard greens to the pot, we're going to saute some onions until they're translucent in color. Add our shallots and let those cook along with the onions. Then I'm going to add my vegetable broth and bring it to a boil. And at this point, you just add whatever seasonings that you want. Liquid smoke, sea salt, crushed red pepper for a little kick. However you want your greens to taste, this is the time to go ahead and get the broth right for your greens before you add them to the pot. Give it a taste and figure out what you need to add. So I gave it a taste and I added agave, coconut vinegar, and grapeseed oil. Oh wow, that's perfect. And now I'm ready to add my greens. So once I got my broth seasoned to the way I want my greens to taste, I went on ahead and added the greens, gave it a stir, and now we're going to let them cook down. Now there are many variations to West African peanut stew. Some recipes call for spinach and pumpkin, but I'm using collard greens and sweet potato. And I already told you I'm using walnut butter in place of peanut butter. So let's get the onions and shallots sauteing. So we're going to peel and grate about a tablespoon of ginger. There you have it, about a tablespoon of ginger. We're also going to chop up some more shallots. We're going to add our onions to the pan, our shallots, and our ginger. So we're going to let this saute for about 2 to 3 minutes or until it becomes translucent. And in the meantime, in between time, we're going to go ahead on and peel and dice our sweet potato. And now we're going to add this to the pan with the onions, shallots, and ginger. sweet potatoes to the pan, along with the cumin and red pepper flakes. We'll give it a stir and let this saute for about 5 minutes. So as you can see, our collard greens have cooked down. So what we're going to do now is put a top on them and let them continue to cook. In the meantime, in between time, I'm going to transfer our sweet potatoes over to a stew pot and finish adding the rest of the ingredients. I'm going to add the tomato paste, our nut butter, and the vegetable broth. And we give it a stir until the tomato paste and the nut butter have dissolved into the broth. So we place a lid on the pot and turn the heat up to high. We allow the stew to come to a boil. Once it reaches a boil, we'll turn the heat down to medium-low and allow it to simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes or until the potatoes are nice and soft. So the stew has simmered for about 15 to 20 minutes. At this point, you can take your sweet potatoes and mash them if you want your sauce a little bit thicker. Just mash them up against the side of the pan and it'll help thicken the sauce. But I'm going to go ahead and add my collard greens. And my butter beans. And we're just going to let that cook for about 5 to 10 minutes. But first, I'm going to give it a taste to make sure it is seasoned to my liking. It doesn't need much, so I'm just going to add a little sea salt because the flavor is there. Going to put the top on and let it simmer for about another 5 to 10 minutes. Now see, that was simple. It's already time for the taste test. Wow, look at that. We've added the quinoa to the bowl. And then we just poured the peanut stew with the collard greens over top of the quinoa. You can garnish with cilantro on the top and some extra chopped walnuts. So here's just a mini side of collard greens because our main dish is the peanut stew. And because we already have collard greens in the stew, I just put a little extra on the side. You could either add them in as you're eating the peanut stew or just have them as a side dish. Now I must say, this is the moment that you and I both wait for, the taste test. Y'all here for it? Oh, the grace. Dear God, I didn't forget. I was just so ready. Thank you, Lord. Y'all ready? It smells so good. Y'all, and now I'm going to try the collard greens. The liquid smoke really gives it a flavor as if you've put some meat in the collard greens. You can't use too much though, because you'll overpower it. It's perfect. Y'all, one more bite before I say what I got to say. I'm not sure what you're waiting for. Why you're not already in line at the grocery store? The ingredients are in the description box below. So honeys and babies, boobs, y'all too, go get your African outfit. Make this stew and come back and tell the people the truth. They waiting to hear you tell them. Oh, it's sure enough good. Before you go, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Got my greens.